So welcome to Simcha, a celebration of life. I'm Nikki Wellman. Jews around the world will shortly be celebrating Chanukah, the festival of lights. The word Chanukah shares the same root as the Hebrew word chinuch, meaning education. And one of the many lessons from the Chanukah lights can be derived from the law that a flame must burn through a wick. Our sages teach us that the flame represents knowledge or Torah study, while the wick stands for action or mitzvot. Knowledge of spirituality and morality becomes a shining light that guides and illuminates our existence. But knowledge alone is not sufficient. It must translate into action. Theory that fails to change the way we live is meaningless and empty. What we learn must attach itself to something tangible, just as the flame is connected to the wick.
One of the customs on Chanukah is that when we light the Chanukah menorah, that we don't abandon it, that we actually sit around and spend at least half an hour with the menorah lights. There's a very profound lesson in terms of education there. One of our Hasidic Rebbes said that a parent should spend a half an hour on every child every day, thinking about the education, where the child is going, what is needed more to help the child grow up in a better way. And that's the message on Chanukah, that when we light the candles and we are wanting to go out and spread the message to another, we also have to spend time contemplating where we're coming from, where are we heading, what is how education taught us, and how are we to implement it into our lives. It's a very, very introspective time where we allow the light of what we're learning to be internalized and affect us in a very, very real way. Also, one of the very interesting halachic aspects is that we have what's called the shamas. That's the light that lights all the other candles, and it's not considered a candle in and of itself. And that too has a message in terms of education, because the shamas is like the teacher.
Well, the previous two I did them one at a time, but we're going to do these two together because, as you're going to see, their lives...
A true teacher, a true Torah teacher is one who looks at each child, knows that there's a soul, it needs to be ignited, it needs to be lit, it needs to be coaxed sometimes, and it's not only about us completing a syllabus, it's about the time that I'm spending with you will make you into a better person. So the shamas is there always, not really counted as a light, but in essence is that lamp lighter, that one that is going to go and spread the message and give over to the next generation the moral compass and information that we need to be healthy, productive human beings. So the fact that we light Chanukah menorah on a basis where the light increases from day to day is indicative that a Jewish life is one where we move forward in our learning. There is no such thing as either pleading ignorance or saying, well, I've learned enough. Every day has to be a day where we are imbued with the light of Torah. Now, Torah, very interestingly, is likened to three types of substances: water, oil, and wine. Now, water, in terms of Torah, is that it's abundant, that it's nourishing, it quenches our thirst for knowledge, and it gives us a framework within which we can live. But there are much deeper levels to Torah that are likened to wine and likened to oil. Now, wine and oil are substances that come from a process where the initial ingredient is pressed. We take grapes and we put it through a press and we get wine. And similarly with oil, what we do is we take the olive and we crush it until we get the finest oil. And wine is representative in Torah of the secrets of Torah. We have the saying, Nichnas yayin, yotzei sod, that if you imbibe wine, out comes the secrets. That is true on a practical level if we imbibe a little too much. But in terms of Torah, when we go into the depths of Torah, not only using it as a practical framework or a paradigm in which to live our day to day, but we go into the depths of divine knowledge, we will touch the secrets of the universe. Even deeper than that, we can go further into Torah by taking an olive and pressing the finest of the oil. And that is really touching the essence of Torah. And that's really what Chanukah is all about. Chanukah is a festival of oil. On a practical level, we light our menorah with oil. We eat oily foods, we eat donuts, we eat potato latkes. It's around, the whole miracle of Chanukah is about oil. And really the message in terms of education is that Torah is a pursuit that we go down to the very essence where it touches us and enhances our entire life. Now, education from a Jewish point of view is something where we look at a moral compass. Education isn't just about an accumulation of information. It is that information becomes part of who we are. And maybe sometimes we have to crush ourselves to change the base natures that we have. But in doing that, it becomes that moral compass that allows us to navigate through life's situations with a clarity of how to attend to them and how to overcome the challenges that life gives.
During the festival of Chanukah, there is a custom of eating foods fried or baked in oil to commemorate the miracle of a small flask of oil keeping the flame in the temple alight for 8 days. Today, Oded shares his special recipe for Spanish donuts, or Bonwelos.
The dish that we are going to do today is an alternative to the Ashkenazi donut, and it's called Bonwelos. The name comes from the word in Spanish for Christmas, Bon Noel, Bonwelos. First, melt the butter. Put all the dry ingredients, which are flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and, of course, sugar. Just a quick mix. Then the wet ingredients are going in: milk, 2 eggs, and the melted butter. Mix it all together to kind of a softish dough. If the dough is a bit sticky, add some flour, just a little bit. Transfer into a working surface and knead it just for a minute or so, nice and soft, but not sticky. Cut the dough and shape to little balls. It makes about 15 to 20 little balls. What makes those Bonwelos very, very special is the honey sauce that goes with them. We have some honey, 250 ml of wine, 6 or 7 cloves, cinnamon stick, and 2 strips of lemon peel. This all goes to the stove. Now we'll get it into the boil and let it simmer until it's thickened a bit. Now for the frying, deep oil, let it get hot first, just a few. Also, the oil shouldn't be too hot because otherwise the outside will be fried and the inside will stay doughy. So control your heat. It's basically like doing fat cook. You can take them this one out. The syrup is almost ready. It's nicely thickened. Lovely. Now, the fun bit. The Bonwelos are going into the dish, and the hot syrup is just spooned over. Chanukah is a holiday of lots of calories, so for once, forget your calories count and enjoy those delicious Bonwelos. Happy Chanukah.
Well, on that mouth-watering note, we come to the end of this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, we'd love to hear from you, so please find us on Facebook at Spirit Sister Productions Network. As always, from me, Nikki, and the Simcha team, shalom and have a safe and peaceful week.
Visit www.spiritsister.co.za to view previous episodes of Simcha, a celebration of life.